Hey guys, it's Izzy. Just want to put out a quick tutorial about something that I put together, and what it is using a login flow and a flow and an Apex class and chaining them together so that when a user logs in, you can capture that user's information and push it over to Apex and then perform whatever kind of actions you want to perform with that user's information all before they finish logging in. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get moving right along here. We got to go create our Apex class. And this is where all the logic is going to take place. And for this simple example, it's going to be pretty simple class. So we'll go public class, and we'll just call this login flow. And all right, I probably should have typed all this down earlier and just pasted it for you guys. Let's bump up the font so I can see better. Okay, and what do we have here? I like to put these down here. Boom. You may do yours a little bit different, but hey, I'm giving a tutorial here. So we want this method to be invocable method, an invocable method. And boom, boom. And inside of here, we're going to go label. We'll set that equal to whatever we want the label to be. And I'll just call it activate user, something like that. It really doesn't matter what you name it, just know what you named it so that you know what to look for. And then we put all the basic stuff here, basic, static, void, because I'm not returning anything. That's what I named this reactivate user. That's what I'm going to name my method. And then as a parameter, I'm going to receive from the flow a list of IDs. Even though it's going to be one, I can only make this a list here. That's all it'll take. Boom, boom, curly brackets, bump that down. And let's get inside of here and let's just do something simple like since we're receiving, uh, let's see, we'll just iterate through some user records based on what we get in that user IDs list. And so simple sockle here, select from where. Okay, and what we're going to do here is we're going to select ID and name from user where ID is in that list of user IDs that we received above. And as we get those, what I want to do with those is, let's do a system.debug. I want to just print it to the debug log. There we go. And so we'll just go name, and the name is user or u.name. And so that's all we're going to do is print this out to the debug log based on the user that logs in to Salesforce. And so let me copy that and bump this down one, go up here, and I'll just say ID. And this will be the ID of the person that logs in, which will be my ID, and this will be my name and this Salesforce instance right here. Let's click save, make sure I got everything right. Everything looks good there so far. And so the next thing we got to do now is create our flow. So if we go over and to set up quick find box, yes, I'm using classic, but I like classic. I can get around a lot faster in classic. And so we want to create a new flow. We want to create a new flow, but the first thing we got to do is create a couple of variables. And so we're going to click on manager, go to new resource, and let's go underneath here. Let's click on variable. Okay, and the first variable we're going to create, let's give it a name of single user query result, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to perform a query with the get element that's over here, but let's go ahead and get this one figured out first. And it's going to be of type record, and user is the type. So we'll put user here, and we want this available for input because after we perform a query using Flow Builder, we're going to pull a user record and we're going to store it in this single user query result. And we don't want to allow multiple values in here because that's going to throw it off when we try to send it over to Apex. Maybe you can figure out another way to do it, but I'm just giving you the basics. And so going to click done here, and then we're going to want to create another variable, and this one is going to be of data type text. Now pay special attention to this name here because this is a name that's given to us to use so that when a user logs in, the login flow automatically stuffs the user ID in here. So we're going to perform a query based on this user ID, get the user's record, and send that over to Apex. And so make sure you have that down, search it on Google, see exactly what it means to you so you know how to use it effectively. We want this available for input so that the login flow throws your user ID in here. So now we have that variable. We'll click done. And now we're going to go back over to elements and let's go down and select get records and drag that out here. This is how we're going to perform our query. And so from here, we just start filling in information. I copied and pasted that, give it whatever name you want to give it. I call it query user object because that's what we're doing. What object are we querying? The user object. So select user here, and it just opens up a lot more. How do you want to filter your query? And so we want to filter our query when conditions are met. Okay, what conditions? How about when ID equals login flow user ID. Remember that funny variable name we just created? When we log in, it's going to stuff your user ID in here. And so we only want the user record with ID equals your user ID when you log in. We're not going to sort by anything. We're going to leave that there as it is. Leave that there as it is, because if you choose this, we're sending a list over, but we're not really sending a list over. And if you choose this, it's going to throw off your results. So only choose the first record together and a record variable. Okay, and where do you want to put the results of this query? So here we're going to go find that single user query result variable that we created, and we're going to stuff the results in there. And now we're done with that, and we just line these up however you want to. And now the next thing we got to do is make a call, an action call to Apex. So we'll drag this out here. Boom. And Apex action is what we want. We find the class that we created, which is activate user. And we have that there. And the label that we want to call this, we'll just call this activate user Apex class. And it's going to auto-populate that when you click away. We want to turn this on because in Apex, remember we had user IDs as the parameter we were receiving? That's what this is here. And so we want to send from here to that variable this variable here, the single user query result. That's the record. That's the record. And so from that record, the field we want to send over is the ID. Okay, so this user record's ID, which will be your user record ID. And we click done, and now we just chain these together. Kaping, chain that one to this one. Kaping, going over here and click save. We'll just call this login user activation flow. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but name it whatever you want to name it. And what type of flow is it? It is a screen flow. You have to choose screen flow for whatever reason. If you choose auto launched, it's not going to work. These three and this last one may work, but this one works for sure. Screen flow. And click save. And it's going through its thing, and then it puts up here the name of what we just named it. And so let's back out of here and make sure we activate this thing. Login user activation flow. I click on it and I want to activate it. Now it's active. So one final thing to do is go to login flows and we want to create a new login flow. This is pretty simple. And so what type? Man, we want a flow. What do you want to name it? Login flow that I just created. Okay, and what flow do you want to use? Remember that one we call login user activation flow? Let's consume that one. Okay, for what type of license? Let's go with a Salesforce license. What type of profile? I'm system administrator here, so we'll just choose that one. And then we'll click save. And so it's all ready now. And what I have open in a different window is my debug log, but I have it opened in Internet Explorer because I'm going to log out and log back into Salesforce in Chrome, and I want the results to show up here. And I'm not so sure that if I open this debug log in a different window within Chrome, that it'll stay logged in. It'll probably log me out and I won't see the results when I log in. So I just like to split the browsers to make sure that one of them stays logged in. And so I'm going to log out here. Boom. And then I'm going to log right back in. Might want to go to logs, Israel. That makes a difference. There it is. I was in the wrong tab here. I was under problems. But you can see my flow executed. And if I open this, let's try this one here. Aura. Okay, there are my results. So let me click on a debug tab. And if you remember in that Apex code, I said, give me the ID of the user that logged in. Give me the name of the user that logged in. So I hope this helps you guys out a little bit, how to call Apex at login. And once you have that logic, once you have the person's ID in Apex, you could do whatever you want with that user's information before they even finish logging in. That's the beauty of this. You can reactivate them, deactivate them, give them different privileges, remove different privileges, whatever the situation calls for at your work or in your personal life. But this is just a little bit, just an example of me giving you guys this to help you out. I didn't plan this out in detail. I just say, hey, I'm gonna hop on here and make this video and hand it out to you guys and help you out, hopefully. Talk to you guys soon when I have something else. Bye.